Hiya, welcome to Darren in the studio. I'm here again. I know what you're thinking. Crikey, has this guy got nothing else better to do? Well, thanks for swinging by and joining us for another video here in my studio. You find us on a very wet Sunday evening here in Leicestershire, United Kingdom. If you're watching this video and you reply to it and all that sort of stuff, then while I'm thinking about it, do let me know where you're watching. It sort of gets me a bit giddy when I think about people watching in sort of far-flung corners of the earth, out of Mongolia and all that sort of stuff. Pretty cool. As you know, if you've been watching and keeping up with the channel, you'll know that I've been sort of catching up really with my anniversary albums. Now we've done 1964, we did 74, which in number of views has gone absolutely mental. At the moment it's at 666, which is weird. We've done 1984, we've done 1994, and now we're looking at albums that are 20 years old. We're looking at 2004. And again, this has proved that in the sort of, I don't know, between certainly towards the mid 90s onwards until very recently, when it comes to sort of new releases and stuff like that, I was pretty much just only buying CDs. A lot of these albums here will have been bought as new releases, but there's no vinyl in these. I don't even think I've got any of these albums on vinyl. If I had them on vinyl, I probably would have chosen the vinyl version to show you. Just a quick look before we really get into it. I've not got any of these albums on vinyl, but they're all really great albums. 2004 was a year where I don't think I bought many new albums by the looks of things, because the list wasn't that long. Again, as always with me, I've chosen 10 discs to show you, 10 albums to show you. But you know, I think there was probably only what, 20, 25 albums on the original list, something like that, maybe not even that many. So here's 10 albums from my collection that have turned 20 years old in 2024. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to reiterate and make absolutely clear that these are not a top 10. These are not my 10 favourite albums of 2004. What I've done is I've just gone through my entire collection and picked out from a list albums that I want to sort of talk about and show you, because again, they're a nice little mix of styles in here, which I think is always important when it comes to me and my albums and stuff like that. I think I've got these a little bit wrong because they're not in alphabetical order. Sorry about that. My intention was to put them all in alphabetical order, and I've started recording and just realised I've not got them in alphabetical order, but we'll do them as is. It doesn't really matter, does it? So 10 albums, again, not necessarily in a top 10, just 10 albums from my collection that came out in 2004. All right, 20 years old, these albums. How about this one? This was more or less Guns N' Roses, when Guns N' Roses weren't Guns N' Roses, if you like, formed by the members of Guns N' Roses. Velvet Revolver. This is the Contraband album. I think this came out in 2 different versions. I think it had a black cover as well, like that. This is a nice little original pressing. Loads of great songs on here. The big hit that was on here was not Fall to Pieces, Slither was the big hit on here. It does have Fall to Pieces, which was also a big hit. You can see on here you've got Duff McKagan, Slash, and the guy that was one of the drummer from Guns N' Roses, the second sort of drummer, whose name I've totally forgotten. What's his name? Somebody will tell me anyway. Velvet Revolver, Slither, not Slither, Contraband, coming out 20 years ago in 2004. Still an album, I think, that holds up today. Saw these guys live on this tour. They were great. Next, from 2004, showing you sort of a different sort of styles here. This is Steve Forbert's 2004 album, Just Like There's Nothing to It is the album. Nice little digipack release. Nice little original. This is on the Kush label. I think I'm probably pronouncing that totally wrong. Koch Records. Steve Forbert, one of my favourite singer-songwriters. Done a lot of good music, Steve Forbert. Still going strong. Still making great records. This has got some great tracks on it. I Married a Girl's on here. The Change Songs, What Is a Dream. There's just some great records on here. There's the track listing. If you've never checked out Steve Forbert, then please do so, because he's a great American singer-songwriter. A great singer, really is. Check him out, Steve Forbert. Just Like It Was Nothing at All. 20 years old in 2024. Next, another favourite Steve of mine. This is Steve Earle and his album called Revolution. The Revolution Starts Now is the album. 2002. This album kind of got Steve into a little bit of trouble because he's a very patriotic guy. But this album was talking about, you know, the Iraq War and stuff like that, and basically sort of pushing back on it. Some great songs on here. The title track, Revolution Starts Now, Condi Condi, about Condoleezza Rice. If I Get Back to Houston, that's a great song. It's just great songs on here. F the CCC, you'll know what I'm talking about with that one. Steve Earle, The Revolution Starts Now. Again, bought this as a brand new release when it came out. One of Steve's sort of protest albums, turning 20 years old this year. Another Steve for you. How about Seasick Steve? I think this was Steve's first album, and I had to sort of investigate, if you will. I had to do a bit of research as to when this came out, because it doesn't say anywhere on the disc, on the cover or anything, when this came out. This is Seasick Steve and the Level Devils. Oh, it's just known as Seasick Steve nowadays, isn't he? Just got a new album out, which is great. We'll be talking about that on a roundup video that's coming up, I'm sure. Seasick Steve. This album's called Cheap Show Is Cheap. 2002 this came out. Some good records on here. This is back in the day when Steve used to do, like, some of his songs were just him talking, which I always thought was really great. He doesn't seem to do that anymore. Hobo Blues, Rocking Chair, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Xmas Prison Blues. Really good album. Seasick Steve, like I said, I think this was his first album, released 2002, 20 years old in 2024. Next, Alas, from Scotland, no doubt. This is Katie Tunstall. This is one of those albums that you will find in charity shops all the time. You really will. And I don't know why, because it's just a great album. This is Eye to the Telescope, released 2002. A lot of great records on this. Still got the nice sort of hype sticker on it. I'll be honest, I bought this from a charity shop not that long ago as a replacement disc, because I've got a radio promo disc version of it. Some great sort of songs on here, really great. Katie Tunstall, you don't hear much of her nowadays. I know she's still making records. I think she's moved out to America now. Other Side of the World, Another Place to Fall was a big hit. Black Horse and the Cherry Tree If you've never heard that, check it out. Miniature Disasters, great. False Alarm, Suddenly I See, of course, was the big record. A lot of big records on this. Katie Tunstall, her album Eye to the Telescope, turning 20 in 2024. Next up, The Kings of Leon. This is their second album, I believe. This is Aha, Shake, Heartbreak. Bought this brand new when it came out, 2002. This has got some big hits on it as well. The Bucket, Four Kicks. This apparently has got a bonus track, track 13, where Nobody Knows on it. Aha, Shake, Heartbreak from the Kings of Leon, turning 20 years old this year. Like I say, nice little original CD. Bought it when this came out as a new release. Next up, we featured Johnny Cash. We featured Johnny Cash quite heavily, actually, on these anniversary sort of videos. And here's another one. This is my mother's hymn book, part of the American recordings, 2002. This would have been one of Johnny's sort of last albums. When did Johnny Cash die? 2004? I can't think now. Can't think when he passed away, but not long before Johnny died. Johnny Cash, my mother's hymn book, sort of one of his religious albums. He did many religious albums throughout his lifetime, throughout his career. Again, bought this as a new release, 2002. Johnny Cash and his religious release, My Mother's Hymn Book, 20 years old. He's been gone too long, right, Johnny Cash? Here's a great album. Now we're talking. Again, bought this. Heard there was a big single on this album, and I heard it on the radio, and it sort of inspired me to go and buy the album. And the album's just as good as what the single was. The single was Redneck Woman. The artist was Gresham Wilson, and here's the album, Here for the Party, released 2002. 20 years old this year. Great album. I've got a couple of her albums, this one and the All Jacked Up album. I must get some more of her stuff. Country rock kind of sort of stuff. Really great. If you've never checked this out, then please do so. Redneck Woman was a massive record. But on here, we got Here for the Party. When I Think About Cheating is a great song. Home Wrecker as well is great. It's really, When It Rains, the lyric in it is, when it rains, I pour. Turn out the lights, turn up the Dwight, and I pour. Great. Talking about Dwight Yoakam, of course. Gresham Wilson, Here for the Party. Great album. Turning 20 years old this year, 2024. Next, this is a classic album. This really is a classic. And it's, I don't know whether it's unusual, isn't it, to find a real classic album from the last 20 years, you know what I mean? But this really is a classic. This is Green Day's American Idiot. Came out 2002. This is a nice original as well. On the, what label is this on? On the Reprise label. They've stuck to the Reprise. Green Day, American Idiot, turning 20 years old in 2024. Can you believe it? What a great album. Great album. A lot of big records on here. Obviously American Idiot, Jesus of Suburbia, which has different sort of parts to it. Holiday, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, St. Jimmy. Just some great records on here. Green Day, 20 years old in 2024. American Idiot. What a classic. Last but not least, Gene Simmons from Kiss put out a solo album in 2002, and it's this one. I'm going to say what it's called. Asshole. before he realised that, you know, being an asshole isn't all that cool, he put out this. Not an album that I really sort of gravitated to, if I'm honest. I wasn't that big on it. I thought, you know, it was a difficult record to get into. I think he kind of went overboard a little bit with it. I mean, he does a version of the Prodigy's Firestarter on here, and it's okay. My favourite track on here is the opening cut, Sweet and Dirty Love. I think he wrote a song on here with Bob Dylan as well. Gene Simmons, the solo album, Asshole. Because he said he didn't mind being such back then. Let's have a look, see what the pictures are like inside. Looking suave and suffocated. Makes me wonder, thinking of Kiss and solo projects. I know Gene, of course, has the Gene Simmons band now, and I wonder whether he'll do any shows here in the UK. I know he's doing a lot of sort of festival stuff, done some stuff across Europe. I wonder if he'll do any shows here in the UK. It would be nice to see him here in the UK. I'll certainly go and watch him, because it's going to be a big Kiss crowd, of course. Gene Simmons, anyway. The Asshole album came out 2002, 20 years ago, in 2024. That's it. Thanks for swinging by. I've got all the CDs and stuff like that ready for 2014. Next video is going to be looking at albums that are 10 years old, which doesn't sound that long ago, is it? But it won't be long. We'll do that video very, very soon. Until that time, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, leave your comments and views about these albums and also other albums that you'll know about in that came out in 2004. Love to know what your favorite albums are from that particular year 20 years ago. So until next time, look after yourself, look after each other, and we'll see you again in the studio for another video. Ta-da.